better take another close look.
Hi everyone, this is Sanjana from Close Look, and we would like to acknowledge that the lands on which we work, play, and learn are on the shared traditional territory of the Katsi, Kwantlen, Semiahmoo, and other Coast Salish people. Thank you. Hi everyone, this is Sanjana from Close Look, and we are here with two amazing guests. We have Gagan and we have David from Sources. Hi guys, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having us. Really excited to be here.
Super excited.
She's great and I'm greater.
The constant competition. That's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and the organization that you work for?
Sure. I'm Gagan, as mentioned. I work with Sources. The pronouns are she and her. I have a wonderful opportunity working with Sources in multiple capacities. I work as a clinical counselor and also as a community engagement coordinator, where I kind of specifically work with the Seniors Hub for those clients who live in South Surrey White Rock, but also extending out to the rest of Surrey as well, as part of the collaborative network with the system.
Well, and thanks for having us on your show, and it's always an opportunity for me to learn what Gagan is doing from one day to the next. She's a very valuable member of our team. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Sources, and my pronouns are he, him. It's still working on this. And, this is my first interview that I've had as a senior. And so one of the things that I just wanted to make sure I share with you is that we continue to be on a learning journey, even as seniors, and continue to learn the changes in our culture, in our community, and our understanding of who we are as individuals and how we express that. So I'm very thankful for my connections to younger people like Doug and help lead me through that process. I think the relationship between young people and seniors needs to be one that's reciprocal. There's things we can learn from each other.
Yeah, definitely.
So you want to know a little bit about Sources?
Yes, I can that.
So Sources is a multi-service agency that is located, headquartered in South Surrey, but provides services throughout British Columbia. And we've been around for more than 30 years. We are the first agency that is accredited by the Council of Accreditation in New York City. So we take international standards and program delivery and management of our agency very seriously. I want to make sure that we deliver the best possible services using the best possible practices, not only in how we provide counseling for students, but actually how we manage the money that's entrusted us to deliver these services. We have the privilege of operating throughout British Columbia on the traditional territories and lands of the Indigenous people who have been here long before us. And our specific offices are located on the traditional territories of the Lheidli in Prince George, the Stananas in Parksville, and locally on the territories of the Tsawwassen, the Semiahmoo, the Katsi, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Kwantlen First Nations. So it's an important part of our journey. Our agency has been involved in transformative reconciliation for a number of years now, and we continue to learn how to better engage with, collaborate, and understand our relationship, our journey together through truth and reconciliation with our First Nations.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing that. And how do you guys kind of help with that reconciliation aspect through your programs?
We have a director of transformative reconciliation. We've had our staff, more than close to 400 individuals who work for our agency. We've had about 250 have gone through a training program around transformative reconciliation. We have hosted and will continue to host Kairos blanket exercises in various locations, which brings people together, not just our own team, but people from the community in a process of understanding the impact of residential schools on our First Nations people.
That's amazing. No, that's always important to acknowledge the land that we're living on. And like as Gagan mentioned, like before this interview, like I already spoke to Jaime, and we're gonna make sure that we're acknowledging the land that we live on more, especially before our shows as well. I think that's always such an important reminder that we are that these lands belong to the Indigenous community. And okay, I might mess this up, but can you tell us a little bit? I got it on the website already. I'm like, I know I need to ask this. What is the Surrey Intercultural Senior Social Inclusion Partnership Network.
I'm glad that you asked that and you said all the words. So we're a network across Surrey, and we are 6 different agencies that partner together to provide services and supports in different capacities, whether it's through gardening, whether it's through having workshops online, assisting with technology. We have Brella does the telephone tree, so it's the City of Surrey, it's Brella, it's Surrey Shares, it's the City of Surrey. Did I say City of Surrey already? It's Sources and it's Graphica.
Okay.
So and Pix is the the one that kind of oversees all of that.
Yeah.
So we work together. We meet monthly to talk about what's happening in our communities, what are challenges that we're seeing, what are themes that we're seeing, and what can we do to navigate them. So the Seniors Hub through Sources is one of those programs. And what we specifically do is myself work in the capacity of working one-to-one with seniors, helping them fill out forms, getting them access to resources. And honestly, it's bridging the gap where I tell anybody and everybody to call me. If you don't know the answer, call me. I'll probably end up Googling it, and it might mean having to talk to other people, but I'll find you an answer because I find that there's a huge gap in terms of service that people are getting and needing. And so I think that it's organizations like ours and our partnership to work together to identify what those things are, so that they're really accessible for people who need it. So we're part of a collaboration of trying to make that happen.
Yeah, and it's so amazing that you have this collaboration with multiple organizations. It's not like competition or anything. It's like everyone's working together to really provide these programs and opportunities. So what kind of responses have you kind of gotten with the services you're providing, especially because you're giving that, I guess, one-to-one connection and also that direct communication to help them navigate everything?
So we offer our services through telephone, video, email. But by fold, it's walk-ins, it's one-to-one in person. And that's what people have been looking for, is that one-to-one connection and building rapport with them. And that I just say time and time again, that's the best way to reach people and connect with them. And that's been something that we've offered. We found that the need is definitely there in different capacities. I think the biggest thing is people not knowing where to go or where to find the resources. I like that you mentioned that it's a collaboration and it's not a competition, right? And that's exactly how I see it too, is that the world is changing and we're all trying to find out how we can maximize our potential and our reach to reach all those people. So we have to be innovative and curious to find out how exactly to do that.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a good point. And what kind of services do you provide with the one-to-one? I'm just a bit curious about that.
Sure. So, because I wear the counseling hat at times, I often say I'm switching hats. I tend to wear it almost all the time. So, it's sitting down. So, at the Seniors Hub, since I've been part of the program, we've kind of implemented an ICM, integrated case management model system approach, so that way as we're talking to an individual, we're assessing what are their nutritional needs, what are their health needs, do they have access to resources? Maybe they don't. So then being able to identify what those gaps are. So it's really seeing the individual for who they are, even though they might be coming to me to say, I need to do my pension application, I don't know how to do it. It's furthering the conversation and identifying how else can we bring value to their lives? What else do I know of that might benefit them? And for me, it's just bringing it up. It's talking about it. So really it ends up being like kind of counseling, kind of talking. And I think talking is counseling, right?
Yeah.
So in that aspect, it's just sitting with them one-to-one or meeting with them in where they're at, whether it's at home or in the community. And I do a lot of outreach, so I collaborate and I work with other partner things that are happening in the community. So we had our income tax clinic that happens through Sources, and I tag team with them. So any of the seniors that needed help, I was there to be able to answer their questions. They're like, if you need anything, here's her card, call her. So by tag teaming with existing services, we were able to tap in to find out what those areas are that needed extra support.
Yeah, so you kind of do the networking so that they don't have to.
Exactly. So they don't have to ask for the help. Yeah. Because I find that it's hard sometimes to ask for help. As a young person, it's hard for me to ask for help. I can't imagine as you're aging, being able to say to yourself, I might need a little bit more help with something. It's not an easy conversation anymore. Yeah. And sometimes you're down on yourself, right? For needing to act. Yeah. So I always say if we can be proactive and start having those conversations early on,
Mhm.
then that's the beauty of it. We have a shop by phone program that I oversee, and that program is for residents of South Surrey White Rock.
Oh.
And you know, it seems like it's just okay, you're shopping for groceries for whatever the senior needs, but it's a lot more than that.
Mhm.
It's about them having the same person call them every single week. You become friends with them
Yeah.
all the time. So you have that rapport, talking to them to say, how's your day going? You're checking in with them because a lot of them live alone. They don't have any partners, they don't have any family. So it's so much more than that. Then we have a wonderful team of volunteers who will go and shop for the groceries and then deliver them. And a lot of them are seniors themselves.
Wow.
So it's just a way for, even though that it doesn't require a lot, but the age of volunteerism is so strong.
Mhm.
It's rewarding. It makes you feel good.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
So for me to be able to be part of that, and I always say, I'm just the person who's here to keep you organized, but it's just such a great system. And when I talk to seniors about it, I say, it's not that you need it. It's not that you need somebody to help you with your groceries. It's one less thing, though, to ask your family for. Because asking your family or your friends to help you with things can be exhausting, right? But it's one less thing that you don't have to worry about. You can still buy what you want to eat. The cost of the groceries is still charged back to the individual. So it's really a beautiful system, and you're really enhancing, you're decreasing isolation and enhancing relationships and communication.
Definitely.
And I think it just makes you less lonely out there.
Of course. And it's not like their independence is being reduced or anything. Like they're still able to maintain the same lifestyle.
Exactly.
And they don't have
And
to
that's
feel down over
empowering,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And I think the point about how like seniors are also part of the volunteering culture as well, I think that was kind of debunking one of the misconceptions David was mentioning before our conversation here as well.
This was our pre-interview.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
warm up.
Yeah, I could expand on that a little bit
Yeah,
if you
that'd
like.
be great.
But I think it's really important to understand that seniors are a vital and incredibly important part of our agency and the services in our community. And so we have seniors who work for us, who are employees, who are volunteers, who serve on our board of directors, who we would not be able to operate our food banks if it wasn't for the number of volunteers who happen to be seniors
Yeah.
who roll up their sleeves and help us move cans of goods and hand things out to people and support that. It's absolutely important. An example I'll give you is one of the seniors in our community, a retired dentist, came to us about 10 years ago with the idea for a free dental clinic that we could operate in the community. We've been operating that for about 11 years now. It had to slow down during COVID, but that was a senior who came to us and it supports seniors, but also others in the community. So I just, that's one of the myths. They're not just recipients of services, they're also deliverers of services. So there's a real reciprocal relationship about being part of the community. And, life can challenge us in unexpected ways. And what we find is some of the people who are providing these services and supports today are the same individuals who may need them tomorrow.
Yeah.
We were at a volunteer appreciation luncheon a number of years ago, and we had the then mayor of White Rock get up and talk about our services. And what I hadn't known, and what she shared with everybody in the audience, was that she had indeed been a recipient of the Shop by Phone program and the volunteer driver program we operate after she had been laid up with an injury. So she would have never anticipated that she would need those services, and she did. And then she went on to serve on our board of directors and give back.
Oh my
to the
God,
community.
you got the mayor involved too.
That's so that's what we see happening.
Yeah.
It's part of this continuous engagement in community. And whether you're a young person or a senior, when you have the opportunity to contribute to your community and invest in your community, that'll come back to you in ways that you would never imagine.
Definitely. And I'm sure it's also empowering to have like senior volunteers as well, because I would imagine that it would also make the seniors who are receiving the services feel more connected and also recognized as well, like someone who is probably has similar values, similar life experiences, and probably you don't have to explain certain things. It just comes more naturally and in terms of the services as well. So
I think it's an important connection, and one of the things that we continue to strive for is ensuring that our agency is very diverse in terms of the people who work and volunteer there as well, because people come through the door. If there's a sense of connectivity it lowers the barrier and the stigma perhaps that's attached to walking through one of our doors
Yeah.
and asking for a little bit of help.
Definitely. And what are some other like misconceptions or just hesitations in general that you've noticed maybe seniors have in terms of joining the program that you maybe could debunk for our audience?
I would say a lot of it is the not knowing, right? Not knowing who to ask or feeling comfortable having the conversations that I need help. I think the world has changed a lot, so you have to call multiple places to find an answer.
Yeah.
And that's been very challenging because how many times do you want to tell your story and be told that, sorry, we don't offer that, we don't have something like that here. So it's knowing who to call, that's someone reliable and that will, go out of their way to find that answer for you. I think a lot of it also is, I don't know, I think it's just the need. The need is definitely there, but it's, is it enough? I don't think it's ever enough, right? And so if you don't know something exists, I think it's challenging for them to know.
Yeah, definitely. And do you notice that maybe there's a struggle, I guess, in terms of seniors feeling like they can ask for help?
I think by asking the right person, I think that's a good point. I often will get, you wouldn't understand. What would you know? And I take that with humility and I say, right, I really don't know.
No, for sure.
But I would love to know. I would love to hear from you. And that's not something that they're used to hearing, like, really? Or people don't want to, like, well, people don't want to know what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
And I always say, like, that used to be a question as I was younger. I would say I'm still young. It used to bother me, like, how do I answer that question? And now I say, we're on this journey of always learning, and there's always room for growth. So if we're always curious, and we tell people that, they'll be more open to say, for example, the people who are volunteering, great example that you gave there. If we don't ask what the need is, how will we know if it's actually helping people the way that they need it to? So I think it's being able to ask that and being curious.
Yeah, and I think in like most like customer service jobs or just anything to do with like care, it's always so important to like see like what people actually need out of it. And I think it's so amazing that you guys are like able to take that with humility and just understand that like I might not understand everything, but I'm here to listen. And I think that's something that like children and grandchildren of like seniors should also cultivate as well. Like we don't know until we're there, kind of a thing, right? Like we can only imagine and try to understand, but like we never have that full experience, right?
Totally. I think our focus the last little while has tried to increase our intergenerational support. So getting more young people involved.
Okay.
So even when we have students who come and do practical placements with us, or they're doing co-ops, we'll often encourage them to come join us on the shops with us and see what the experience is like. Go shop for things that you didn't shop for before. Go engage with people. When I'm doing outreach, come with me and we'll go talk to people. So it's really increasing the awareness, but also their comfort level. Because I feel like that's how we're going to enhance our social connections is by being able to have those conversations, right?
Definitely. And I also wanted to know, like, how do you guys kind of make sure that there's like diversity in your guys' program in terms of like people of different identities, age groups, cultures, and so on?
I think treating everybody as an individual. So I think that's where it starts. It's like being humble and starting just from there, right? I think a lot of it is being able to be conscious about what we're doing, how we come across. We offer different languages, services in different languages. So I myself, I speak Punjabi. So since I've been there, I guess word's gone out within our network to say, there's somebody who can like find you questions to your answers. Or answers to your questions. And for me, it's been really helpful because then I'm able to speak my mother tongue with them and expand. And they'll say, do you know who does this? And even though it may not be me, and it's a matter of me finding the answer for them, I'm able to expand that way. And similarly, a lot of our volunteers speak different languages so they can engage in different capacities. And I think that's a huge piece. A lot of our volunteers are diverse, different ethnicities, definitely age groups, which captures all of that.
And sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it is a journey in progress too. We have spent a fair amount of time taking a look at how do we do this in the agency, and we've In fact, one of the things we've worked on is how do our waiting rooms and how do our offices look?
Okay.
And when you walk through our office, do you see something that reflects your culture or that you feel welcome in? What are the kind of subtle visual cues are we given to say you are welcome here and you are part of us? So we're continuing to work on that, and each of the locations have been trying to actually make some physical changes to do that, and even our work around identifying our pronouns. So we've had training for our staff and our leadership team on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we're being intentional about doing that, and it's good work because we're learning about ourselves and each other. When there were some real major upheavals in America about 2 years ago, we hosted just for the management team conversations about racism and what that meant and how did we deal with that and what was the trauma that people might have had. So continually having an open heart and an open mind to learning from each other. Very, very important to us that we attract a workforce that is diverse. You know, we worked hard. We were able to recruit somebody who had just arrived in Canada. It was a refugee from Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
We made some accommodations to be able to bring him onto our workforce that we hadn't typically done, and really excited about what the value he's adding and what we're learning from him. So we continue to do that one step at a time.
And it's empowering for both parties, I would say. And how do you find like all these changes affecting like the atmosphere for both like the workers as well as like the people that you guys are supporting?
I think you should answer.
I think I always believe that happiness, like our energy, is contagious. So if you walk in, if your team is happy, they'll provide that service, right? If you're it starts with you, and I feel like we all have the ability to spread that. People often say like, you're always happy all the time. And I am. I think there's so much to be grateful for, but I believe by smiling at a random person, they may think it's weird, but they might also smile back for 1 second. So if we can continue to like transform and just do our parts to make people feel that way, they feel it.
Definitely.
And we hear in our, we do surveys every single year to ask for feedback, rooms for improvement. Whenever we do workshops, same thing. And the feedback is always like, you're always there to ask questions. You're curious about the learning, and that's what we love. We love that they give us feedback about the good and the bad and what we can do better, and then we take that and we grow with it, right?
Yeah.
And they think that the feedback has said to us that it's because you're willing to listen. That makes us feel like our opinion matters.
Yeah.
And so it's making them feel like they're human.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And that's a beautiful thing.
And I think like for a lot of people, like they don't maybe need someone to like know all the answers, but just someone who's willing to actually meet them like halfway.
Yeah.
Right?
And share what they want to share.
Yeah.
Not feel like that they have to share everything.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
We're like a non-barrier program, so you share what you want to share. You don't have to share anything else. You don't have to share. You share whatever you're comfortable with. And I think it's all about, there's a lot of judgment out there too, right? A lot of stigma. So it's challenging to talk about our vulnerabilities for anybody. Doesn't matter what you're experiencing in life.
Yeah.
So when you don't have to answer those questions and you talk about what you want to talk about, it changes the conversation.
You kind of get to make the program your own kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you have a unique relationship with every person that you talk to. And then I believe it's contagious in a good way.
Well, that could spread a bit more. We certainly, it's we don't always have the answers. Not every day is a great day. But the message that I share with our team, and I think what's absolutely bottom line important for me, is that when somebody walks through our doors and then when they walk out, they should feel somewhat more hopeful about their situation. So there may not be a solution, there may not be an answer, but they should not feel alone, and they should feel a sense of things can get better, may get better, should get better, and these people are going to help me navigate my way through to making that happen. And that's across the board, whether you're a family with a young child, or whether you're an individual who's struggling with substance use issues, or with your senior who's feeling isolated and alone and needs some support. We want you to feel a part of community and a sense of hope that, things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
So there's not any straight answers for everybody, but that's our purpose. And some of that is having a sense of happiness and hopefulness in
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful message. I think just in general, like improvement's not always going to be linear, but like as long as you feel like you have that support system, you can feel confident in yourself that you'll get through these things.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, like, what are some like future programs and projects that you guys are kind of working on? If you're able to tell us, of course.
I think we're always growing and always open to ideas. For the Seniors Hub, we are definitely expanding our reach and collaboration by partnering with other supports in the communities that are out there. We're looking to hopefully have workshops. There's a lot of workshops that are out there. So seeing how the fall is going to happen, we're hoping to host some ourselves in person. We just got to find the right type of, the setting and making sure that there's no restrictions, all those things, safety, making sure it's accessible by road, parking, all those things you have to consider, right?
Yeah.
Consider more than you would maybe for younger people, right? So that's the hope, and yeah, I hope that it's still growing. I feel like it is growing.
Yeah.
The need is definitely there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And are these services like free of cost, or are there usually like a cost to it?
Free of cost.
Free of cost?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, and the one thing I should mention is seniors are a major source of donors for our agency as well. So seniors contribute to the community through the donations to our agency and others as well. So we shouldn't forget that. So when you talk about the role of seniors, it is incredibly integral to everything that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And how do you feel like having like senior volunteers and partners? How do you feel like that helps with that atmosphere that you guys are building?
I feel like they bring their own they have years of experience, and they bring
definitely.
that. They bring that's their value.
Mhm.
Each person comes with their own experiences, skill sets. So if we offer an opportunity for them to really use those there, right? Listen, learn from them. So I think they are, and I'm so humbled to be part of a team of volunteers. And most of our program is run by volunteers. The people who answer the phone are volunteers who offer to be there every week.
Yeah.
And I find that so beautiful, and I'm so endeared to them to say, I'm so grateful that the phone rings and somebody's there to answer it.
Yeah.
I can't physically be there to answer it because I'm out and about doing other things.
Yeah.
But somebody's there to pick up the phone. That's one person that you help.
Yeah.
And that's huge because that's what that service is there for, right?
Yeah, and they're genuinely there, like they're not asking for anything in return, like they just genuinely want to serve that community.
Exactly. And they're such a valuable source of knowledge that they are often, their feedback is what tells me, there's a community here. Maybe you should go do a presentation and talk to them about their benefits and if you can help them with completing forms or whatever. They give me that suggestion.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yes, I
Now
know.
that I know it's there, I
Yeah.
can do it, right?
Yeah.
But you have to have that feedback to know it's realistic, right?
That's beautiful. Oh, that's awesome. And what are some of your guys' favorite experiences from this? I mean, you probably have so many, but if anything that come to your mind.
Well, I have had the opportunity to get up early and do the Shop by Phone program, which is mostly seniors. It's not just seniors who deliver that program. And, being a part of the shopping and our relationship with Save On Foods, who creates a special aisle for us. And it's the energy and the enthusiasm and the sense of it's not just picking up food for these people. They recognize there's an individual on the other end and the connection, and they know who the individual is and what their preferences are and those kinds of things. So, learning from them and seeing that energy, it's inspirational for me. It's something that I aspire to, and I hope as I continue to age that I bring that same level of energy and enthusiasm to my interactions with people in the community out there.
Yeah. And do any of these volunteers ever like connect with the seniors like outside of these programs too for hangouts?
They do. They provide a lot of our volunteers provide a sense of companionship as well. So, even when they're talking on the phone taking orders, they're also the same volunteers that will do the volunteer wheels driving, taking them to medical appointments because, they need extra help to be able to get to those appointments.
Yeah.
So they definitely have that. And just to add to what David was saying, You know, sometimes the phoners will email every week, so I oversee that program.
Yeah.
And they'll tell me, oh, this person wasn't feeling so well.
Yes.
But for me, that's like, let's send them a card with their groceries.
Aww.
To say, like, I hope you're feeling better,
That's
right?
so sweet.
My role, Tuesday's my favorite day of the week because I go shopping. And my job there is I pack the groceries in a bag.
Yeah.
And I say, for me, it's like wishing them well as they pack their groceries to say,
Yeah.
like, my energy, I hope it gets to you, right? I'm one part of this, like, huge chain of people who are trying to support you, but I feel like all of us together are able to do so much for that one person.
Yeah.
It's so gratifying. So I feel like those little things, and they call our office, they'll say, oh, they sent us the card, and that word spreads. Those thoughts and mindfulness, like,
Yeah.
those thoughtful things pass on. And so in that way, I feel like it's, you know, they call us and they'll say thank you, or
Yeah.
they'll say, you know, this service, we had surgery or we had a fall,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't have known how we would get our groceries. We can't even lift our groceries to put them into our
Yeah.
fridge or bring them into our home or out of our car. We no longer can drive. Those things happen spontaneously,
Mhm.
unexpectedly. So services like this, you just call us and we're ready to go. We'll explain the program, and it's you're set up,
Mhm.
and that's so. You know, I feel like being part of that is such a humbling experience. And even for them to feel like, oh, we don't have to worry about food. You mean you don't have to go
Yeah.
hungry? And it's so much more than that.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Because for them, maybe it's not a big deal, maybe for them to do that, but
Yeah.
it's just one less thing, and that adds so much relief. Or it just feels like someone's like, you know, there for you, and they're like you have someone in your corner, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's, you know, small acts of kindness can have huge impacts.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
you know, one of the things, if you were asking me my advice, which I'll give you,
Yeah,
some of your
I would
younger
ask-
viewers,
Yeah.
is be aware when you're on a bus or a SkyTrain.
Mm-hmm.
And if a senior comes on, offer your seat.
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely.
And when you do that, that senior feels valued, and just it's the smallest act of getting up
Mhm.
and saying, and that can carry that person through the full day.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you find those opportunities, whether it's in the grocery store or on the street or whatever it is, and just
Yeah, and it makes them feel seen because I think maybe I could be mistaken this, but I feel like sometimes we feel like we can maybe take advantage of like seniors, or maybe it's okay to make them maybe even unintentional, like make them feel invisible as well, like oh, they won't notice,
Yeah.
they can't hear me, or they probably can't even recognize what's happening or the situation. But I think we need to realize like that they're human beings, and they understand what's going on, and that we
Yeah.
need to be like respectful of that, and they are adults as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
yeah, we certainly are. And,
Yes.
and you know, and asking questions and,
Yeah.
and finding the histories, and you uncover layers upon layers of
Yeah.
experience and knowledge that you didn't know was there because you
Yeah.
hadn't taken the time. And so, I mean, I can be guilty of that, and remembering to ask and dig a little deeper. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And also like there's so much of history as well, right? And a lot of hardships, and I think just being able to honor like the ups and downs that they've experienced in their life, and the things that they've gone through that maybe like my generation will never get to experience,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you've hit on something I think is incredibly important, because sometimes seniors may express viewpoints that we go, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? But unless you dig deeper and understand some of the trauma they may have experienced in your life, you
Yeah.
don't know what's led to that perspective.
Yeah.
And so it's important to engage in a conversation.
Yeah.
Gaga knows this because she does all sorts of trauma-informed practice. And that's part of what you do in a counseling situation. But I think it's really important for us to do it. And don't rush to judgment. Right?
Yes, definitely. Cause I think like my generation has like very different, or I guess I wouldn't say like very different, but we're like I guess starting to recognize like different aspects of I guess I guess we're more inclusive in certain ideas
Yeah, identity.
as well,
Yeah,
and identities
yeah.
as well. So how do you I guess what do you recommend in terms of like interactions between younger generations and older generations, so that's like non-judgmental and inclusive?
Mm.
I would say just be humble and be yourself. Talk.
Mhm.
It's as simple as have a conversation.
Mhm.
How's your day? You know, where are you going today? I know that, you know, it's the pandemic has changed the way that we communicate with people. We're relearning it in some ways, right? In many ways, I'd say.
Mhm.
But just start a conversation. Give them the time and space that you acknowledge them, that you see them, you hear them, and that you're willing to just even if it's just like, what are you listening to, or like, where are you going? As simple as that. I think that we have to change our mindset and adapt to being open. And we're already open as a younger generation. We're open to many things, and the older generation is the same. We just have to be able to approach them because they're thinking the same thing. Oh, the kids don't talk to me. They're gonna do that. So they're already like closed off a little bit like, you know, in their own world. But if we're just open, if we open the door, then you don't know what's going to come out of it. And so many beautiful things can come out of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry.
Well, no. Yeah, so you're thinking, oh, I better not ignore the senior.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's kind of the approach that we try to take with everybody.
Yeah.
Change your heart in your head. So be empathetic, be compassionate, and take the time to invest of you in that person.
Yeah.
And also be thoughtful about that.
Yeah.
So using the two, it's in your heart and your head, and applying that to your relationship with seniors, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, I guess you don't have to always feel like you have to agree on everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I think like because I've noticed with like some of my friends, like they struggle to sometimes have that relationship because maybe some of them are from the LGBTQ community and they feel like their grandparents maybe they're homophobic, or maybe they just and it's like a generation thing. Like it's not like not blaming any party in that situation, but it can be a struggle sometimes to have that maybe relationship at times because they feel like they have to hide a part of their identity.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And recognizing that we're continuing to learn and give room for that growth and opportunity. And you'll see transformation within seniors just as you do in young people. We are not a completed project yet. So let's continue to grow from and exchange ideas and be patient with each other. Right?
I think that's so important, and that debunks like another misconception that like, you know, seniors aren't willing to change or evolve, or they have like a rigid mindset of that sort as well. I think that's so important. And I was just wondering, as we're kind of wrapping up, so are there any other ways that you feel like grandchildren and children can kind of bridge the gap with seniors in their community?
I would say we get a lot of calls from caregivers who didn't know that there's supports out there for them. You know, as myself who has grandparents that are aging, it's hard. You don't know how to help them. But there's also a phone number you can call, and that's not your job to have to assess what all their needs are, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. So I think that's what the help is out there for you to be able to get support from people that you care about. So I think that's really important for caregivers, care providers, family members, all of that. That you're not alone in trying to support your one or a few seniors in your home, right? And I think that I would say just ask them what their needs are, have open conversations. As we age, doesn't matter how old you are, even myself, you know, you want to fight aging, right? You want to be young forever. But sometimes your body may not let you feel that way. Sometimes mentally you don't feel that way. And those are things that we don't have control over. So as we are learning individually how to be patient with that process and learn what that's like, we may not know the answers to be able to share that with somebody else. So I think it's all about, going back to what David was saying, acknowledging them, everybody for where they're at, and having conversations that are just real and down to earth.
Definitely.
Because that's where it starts. If that person feels safe, they feel comfortable, that's when they'll say, you know what, since we're talking about it, my teeth have been hurting and I haven't gone to a dentist in a long time. Right? That's kind of, it can be shameful for some people because they used to be able to book their own appointments. They used to be able to drive to the appointments and they're no longer able to do that anymore. Right? So asking for it, if we can be proactive and looking at the bigger picture, how are they doing overall? They all are interconnected, and that's what I always believe, that we're all like holistic. Everything connects to one another. And it makes you feel better, right? And if we don't assess how everything is going, then there might be room for improvement. And there's always room for improvement if we're open to seeing it.
Yeah, definitely. And do you feel like as we as society, like subtly and unintentionally create like, I guess gaps between us and seniors? Like, do you think we kind of create a divide, or unintentionally use like inappropriate language or just like a disrespectful like mindset, I guess, towards the community?
I think that we were talking about this in the pre-interview. You know, the definition of family has changed. So not everybody has grandparents that they grow up with. Not everybody, everybody's as they individualize, they live on their own. They don't live with their parents, which is great because they're growing individually and independently. So as you age, it's very lonely, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have people to talk to every single day. You may not use a phone, you may not use a computer. So how do you maintain those connections? So a population that I would say was isolated before the pandemic became further isolated with the pandemic.
Yeah.
They were not talking to people. They were not leaving their homes. Nobody was checking in on them. And that's scary for them. And now you come out of it and there's a huge gap with digital literacy.
Yeah.
Everything's so efficient online, which is great. All the applications are processed faster, but you have to have a computer to do them.
Yeah.
So a lot of my time that I spend with seniors is, let me show you, let's do this together. Don't give me your passwords. I'm not going to save them. And they're like, no, you can have them. Like, no, you don't know me. In fact, I'm really pleased that you trust me with your information.
Yeah.
But then it's using the psychoeducation to remind them that you're very vulnerable. But it creates, I think, back to your question about the gap, I think that there is a gap. There's an assumption to say they know what they're doing and they don't need help. And then we're not asking the question of what they may need help with, right? And if we're not asking, then we don't really know. So the gap is definitely there, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would you say to I guess some people who I guess maybe feel uncomfortable asking if a senior needs help just because they don't want to kind of undermine their abilities as well? Like, how do you find that balance?
I would say it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
Right? If they say, I don't need help, I don't know. That would be my opinion. it depends on the context too, right?
Yeah.
If they're like carrying heavy groceries, can I help you with your groceries, carrying them to your car, right? I mean, there's a part of me that they may not feel comfortable with you carrying the groceries, but it also can be helpful, but you're not going to know if you don't ask.
That's true.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. I would also ask them for help. So, if you're going to be in a relationship, how can the senior help you? What knowledge do they have? Are you seeking their advice? Are you asking from their experience? Is there things that they might do to assist you in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah.
So that it is a relationship that is reciprocal and more equal.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being, almost like the parent-child relationship and that reversal. And that's where it gets, in my opinion, really awkward, is now I feel childlike in my relationship to my child. Around. And that's a really uncomfortable place to be. So I think finding ways that you assist each other.
Yeah.
So don't just ask what they need, ask for what you might need from them, right?
Exactly.
One of the things that I regret that I didn't get, say, with my father before he passed away was more oral history from him about his life and his family. There's so many unanswered questions that nobody else can answer for me. So finding ways to engage in a relationship of mutual respect.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Would you say, I have a question for you now, David. Would you say, you got the spark going. Would you say that, you talked about the relationship changing as you age? I hear that a lot from the people that I talk to on the phone. They say, our children are now thinking that they know better than us and what we need, right?
Yes.
Would you say, how do we help people in that scenario? When they're like, well, we're not even able to make our decisions anymore.
Exactly. And part of it is there's a couple things that I think are really important for seniors to do, is to really plan proactively ahead in terms of their financials, all those kinds of things. But I think that, what I've tried to do, say, in the approach my relationship with my mother, was trying to respect every step of the way her autonomy. And only taking on responsibilities for things when she was really ready to let go of them and say it was time, but allowing that shift when she made the decision to move into an independent living arrangement. It was her decision. It took a couple years for her to come to that. So traveling that journey and being patient, it can be difficult and it can be scary a bit as a child, but that is part of life, right? Yeah. Seniors have the right to take risks just as you and I have. So when we start to put limits around some of those risks, we better be clear in our minds that we're only being as intrusive as we must be
Yeah.
from the protections.
Mhm.
Always keeping that in mind.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. And I guess it must be a struggle too, because there's so much of love and like good intentions at times too, but like also making sure there's that balance and that dynamic doesn't change, so it's not uncomfortable for anyone too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, we were talking about the internet. You know, my mother doesn't access the internet and any of those things, and she's not wanted to. We had set her up; she didn't want to, and actually, I'm thankful she doesn't because of all the risks associated with that.
Yeah.
So there are those things, but that was a decision she made, not one I made for her.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, that's a really good point. Are there any other, I guess, like ways in which, or any other struggles that I guess like seniors face with their children and grandchildren that maybe we could be more cognizant and aware of?
I think we summed it up.
Yeah?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we talked about it a lot.
Perfect. No, that's awesome. Okay, I think we're good here unless you guys have any other last things we should bring up.
I'm pretty good.
I think you've exhausted.
You've got. No, thank you so much for the interview. It was so informative. We have so much of content as well, and I really hope that helps people out there. I mean, I know it will. The information was super helpful, and the services you guys provide is so great and free. So that's awesome. So yeah, that wraps it up for today. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to our wonderful guests. Please do stay connected with us. Write some articles for us because our magazine is like the articles are almost ready, almost edited, but we'd love to get some more content. If you have any stories or information to share, please do check out our social media. Stay connected with our podcasts, our magazines, our trips, just everything that we're doing. And again, thank you for the interview and thank you everyone for your time. And yeah, see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.